After the start we've made to this Premier League season, I've got to be honest, I'm really annoyed that we're not playing more. You know, we've got this international break now. It's just come at a bit of a rubbish time for West Ham, hasn't it? Because the momentum was there. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've got a couple of real tough games coming up. But still, I'm just looking forward to it. When you're doing well, you just want to keep playing, don't you? And just keep enjoying the football. And I'll tell you what I think I do like as well, before we go into this video. I like the fact that we're going into these tougher games like Man City, Liverpool, and we don't desperately need the points. Whereas before, you know, let's imagine we don't have a bad start like we did last season, down the bottom, you'd be going to go, oh, we need to get something. We've got Man City coming up. We've got to try and get a result. We've got to try and get something at Liverpool. It's nice to have that pressure off because now we can just enjoy it a little bit more. And you know what? We'll do a preview, obviously, Man City coming up this week, coming up. But my word, I'm going into it with a little bit of a bounce. I'm sure many are. And I'm just quite looking forward to it, really. Yeah, I mean, it's been a great start to the season, isn't it? Really good start to the season. And it sort of leads into this video. Actually, before I go into the video, I just want to say that 50% of you watching this is literally pretty much bang on. 50% of you watching this are not subscribers to this channel. So all you need to do is click subscribe. It's free to do so. And if you do so, you enter the competition to win a free West Ham top. We're giving away one every month for the whole season. We've already given away two, and we're going to be giving away a third soon. So just all you do is click subscribe. It's that easy, free to do so, and you join us on this journey that is this channel. So yeah, which we do really appreciate. So yeah, it's great. Look, David Moyes, let's talk about last season for a moment before we go into anything else. Really tough season, really not where we wanted to be, especially after such a really positive period, wasn't it for the football club, where we'd got to sixth, we got to the Europa League, we got to the Europa League semi-final, we finished seventh. That next season we thought, come on, you know, let's try and push that top four, let's try and get into that realm, that's where we want to go. And it was a really tough season, really, really tough, and we struggled. I'm talking about domestically at the moment, okay, Premier League, we really, really struggled, and but we did have the Europa Conference League, of course, which, you know, I'm just talking early stage of the season, was kind of a bit of relief, really, because that's where we were performing well. But in the league, we were struggling. And when you look back at it, it was that, if you remember, it was that sort of desperation to, I think it was trying to accommodate certain players. I don't want to go, you know, slagging people off and moaning, but I think we were trying to accommodate certain types of players and that kind of big egos and etc., trying to get a system to work. It just didn't work, and it was difficult. And it meant that we were in a relegation battle all season long. But my word, did it end well. Did that season end well? Well, the best that we've ever experienced. Certainly me as a fan, seeing West Ham lift the trophy, the Europa Conference League was amazing. And I'll always be grateful for David Moyes for that. And I'll tell you, I'm grateful to David Moyes anyway over the last few years. I think it's been amazing. But make no mistake, the domestic season can't be ignored. You can't just pretend it didn't happen. But it's just wonderful that we did well in the cup. But I mean, we were close to going down. I mean, I know we stayed up with a relative decent margin in the end. But there was a period, wasn't there, where we looked in real big trouble. But no, we got out of it. But David Moyes was under big pressure, big pressure. And not only that, I mean, great, we had the cup success, don't forget, but the summer that followed, so much discontent, so many issues. Obviously, we lost Declan Rice. That's not down to the manager. That was the player wanting to leave, and there was nothing we could do about that. I know some fans have got this feeling of, well, if we didn't have David Moyes, Rice would have stayed. That Declan Rice wanted to go and challenge for Premier League titles, and it's something West Ham can't do. That's fact. So, you know, we draw a line under that. That's not David Moyes' problem. But what that was David Moyes' problem was other people at the club, players not being happy. Backroom staff changes. I mean, more coaches leaving. It was really alarming what was coming out of the football club. And then, of course, we appointed Tim Steidten to come into the football club to help the recruitment. That seemed to be a bit of a disaster to begin with, because there's all this talk of fallings out with Moyes and Steidten, and I think some of it was a bit fabricated, and I think some of it was probably blown out of proportion. But I don't think there was any, you know, there's no smoke without fire. There were issues there. We're going to get back to the video really shortly, but I just want to let you know this video is actually sponsored by NordVPN. Now, NordVPN are a private network that allow you as a fan to watch games from the comfort of your own home. You can change the region that you're in. It also allows you to watch films, TV shows, things like that. Now, the other big thing is it's also on travel costs. So being West Ham, where you're in Europe again, and also you might want to go on holiday, but you can also save some money on your flights, on your hotels, things like that. It's really worth it. And look, for the monthly subscription, okay, it's less than a pint or a coffee a month. Now, if you go to the link below and using nordvpn.com/West Ham Way, you get 4 months free, completely free. And also after that, you get a 30-day money back guarantee. So just click on the link, go on it, give it a try, see what you think. Anyway, back to the video. And then, of course, we had the fixture list come out, telling us what we were going to be facing this Premier League season. I did the first video on that a little while ago, and obviously before the start of the season. I actually felt it was a decent start. I thought that the first 2 games were not too bad. I meant the first 2, Bournemouth and Chelsea, just because Chelsea have had such a tough time and had the new manager coming in. I just felt that there were 2 games that we could possibly get some results, but it actually turned out it did. Although the way I expected, I was probably expecting us to get a result at Bournemouth, i.e. 3 points, and maybe getting a draw against Chelsea. But it turned out the other way around. However, then obviously we had some tough games after that. You know, we had Brighton away, very tough. Luton away as well. Luton, their first Premier League game of the season. But my word, to say defied the odds is an understatement, I think, for David Moyes. I mean, my word, to have 3 wins and a draw from those 4 games is remarkable. That is not what West Ham do. And let's be honest, we're usually not very good. How many times do we start seasons really well? It's not that often. In fact, I think this is our best start, isn't it, in 24 years? So it just goes to show this is a very rare occurrence to start this well. So, look, David Moyes is doing what David Moyes set out to do, and that is to show everyone what he's made of and what he's capable of. He was going into this season under massive pressure, massive pressure. I mean, I spoke about it in videos prior to the season that I felt that he wouldn't last very long. I felt that a few bad results and he'd be out the door. That the club wouldn't tolerate another tough season, wouldn't tolerate another relegation battle. And I still believe that the club wouldn't tolerate that. If West Ham now went on to lose the next 4 or 5 games, he'd be under big pressure. But the way things are looking, that's highly unlikely. West Ham are playing very well. We're one of the best performing teams in the league at the moment. We're sitting 4th and unbeaten. And considering our fixtures, that which I think goes a little bit unnoticed. There was an article put out this week, which we put on our website, in fact, and it was on the BBC from a sort of fan channel, or whatever. And it was right that we're kind of going unnoticed, and it suits West Ham, that West Ham are kind of going about our business, and no one's really taking too much notice. They're talking about Tottenham, they're talking about Arsenal, they're talking about everybody else. West Ham are we're just quietly going about our business. And I think people might be thinking, oh, yeah, they've started well, but, you know, that's probably a bit of luck. But I don't think people really look at the fixtures we've had. I think, bloody hell, that, you know, Bournemouth away, not an easy place to go. Chelsea, then Brighton away, and then Luton away. I think we've done very well. So I think, you know, and I like that. I like the fact it's going unnoticed, to be honest. But I'm really pleased I'm pleased with David Moyes. I really am. He's going against what I thought. I genuinely felt that he was going to really struggle this campaign and be under the pressure. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, it's now thrown a complete curveball on the David Moyes situation, because let's be honest, cards on the table here. I was under the impression that David Moyes would absolutely not be getting another deal at West Ham, that the club would move in a different direction. One way or another, this would be his last contract at the club. I didn't think he'd survive the season. And look, could still happen. I'm not saying, oh, look, this is it now, we're going to be brilliant. But I'm just saying where we are today, I was actually convinced, you know, earlier in the season, he's not going to last very long. He'll probably last the first 8 or 10 games. And then if we're not doing well enough, he'll be gone. But he's defying it. The odds, I know I keep repeating that, but he really is. He really is sort of going about his business very well. West Ham are performing very well. We look organised. There's a feel-good factor about West Ham. There's just something really good about the place at the moment. And that, as well, coupled with the fact that David Moyes is getting quite a lot of public backing, if you've noticed. Karen Brady was on TalkSport a matter of 3 or 4 days ago, talking about Declan Rice, and she talks about David Moyes, and was absolutely really complimentary of the manager, not just in terms of his performance, but as a person, what he's done for the football club. And there was certainly a feeling. I don't know if you've seen the interview. If you haven't, go and check it out. It's on the TalkSport website or their social media. If you go and check it out, Karen Brady's interview, and when she talks about David Moyes, I got the feeling from that she's talking about him going forward. There's a future for David Moyes at West Ham. See, a lot of people will look at the situation with Moyes in terms of his contract to go, well, yeah, but he's only got a year left. If they wanted to keep him so much, they would have given him a long-term contract. I actually disagree with that. West Ham and our owners have always famously not really done that. They tend to always review things at certain periods of the season, typically at the end. Now, this is not an exclusive. I don't want us to sort of scream, oh my God, but I have got a sort of bit of interesting news, and this will be backed up more with X going forward. It'll be on Patreon, but this is what we sort of understand at the moment, that the club are likely to review the situation with David Moyes' contract in January. That being that if things are good, David Moyes is probably more likely now to be offered a new contract at West Ham. And let's be honest, we're in September now. You know, I've only got a few months going until, you know, the end of this year. It will whip round quickly. And if West Ham continue on this path, and let's be honest, I hope we do. I really, really hope so. I mean, I cannot stand the idea of people wanting West Ham to fail to get rid of manager. I've never understood that mindset. I know that there are some, but I just cannot sign up to that at all. And people will criticise me on this, by the way. I know that people will. They'll say, well, hang on a minute, you were slating him 5 minutes ago. Well, 5 minutes, but you know what I mean? A few weeks ago, you were saying, well, you know, and if you remember, I did the video after is it by Leverkusen? I think we lost 4-0 in a pre-season, and I just, you know, very upset with the performance. And I felt that David Moyes' time was up at that point. I thought, this is how we're going into the new season. I was very worried, very worried. But look, at the end of the day, you can change your mind. And I think you should be able to change your mind. You should be able to change your thoughts and processes because you're presented with new information. You can't have a go. You can't just. I find it bizarre when people get married to these thoughts and about someone, even if they're doing brilliantly, they can't even accept it. It's so frustrating. I just don't get that. I can't sign up to that sort of philosophy. And my feeling is that, yeah, I did say that. I thought at that point against that Bayer Leverkusen in the pre-season, I felt that we were in real trouble. We played so badly. The players looked unhappy. It just didn't feel good, did it? And we were going. I was really worried about the season. And that was our last pre-season friendly, of course. So I went into that Bournemouth game thinking, my God, we're going to get absolutely ripped to shreds. But no, you know, West Ham have completely gone against everything that I thought would happen. So, yeah, at the end of the day, what David Moyes, this is what I did say over summer, and I'll stick by this, is that if you're going to stick with a manager, if you're going to say, right, you're going to be a manager, then you need to play to that manager's strength. That manager needs to do what he's good at. I think last season, David Moyes or whatever the precious word, to try and change the way we were playing, it just didn't work. We've gone back to our basics. We've gone back to the Moyes balls, people would call it. You know, we've gone back to that system. And look, if it's effective, I'm all behind it. Last season, it wasn't effective. What we were doing wasn't working, hence why the frustration was building up. But this season, we're going back to what we're good at, and it's just working. Jared Bowen said it, didn't he, about David Moyes? He's right. He said, well, if it's broken, don't fix it. I think he was firmly alluding to last season. You know, we did try and change it, and look what happened when he got relegated us, for God's sake. So I'm absolutely delighted that we've sort of ditched that now and gone back to what we're good at. And that's what makes me want to back David Moyes to stay in that regard, because I think, well, if that's what we're going to do, then great. If David Moyes comes, you know, if they say David Moyes, right, try and play like Pep, there's no point. It won't work, and it will just fall apart. Play what you're good at. And let's be honest, it can be quite exciting, although it can be hard to watch at times because we don't have a lot of the ball when you're playing at certain sides and we just sort of defend. But when we get the counter-attack right, I mean, that Brighton performance was outstanding. I mean, the counter-attacks were absolutely outstanding and some of the play was brilliant. So it can be very good and very effective. As I've said, my final thoughts on this are, if it's working, then you need to back the manager. You need to back the system that backs the manager and get the right players in, which I think West Ham are doing. And David Moyes' record at West Ham cannot be ignored. You know, we cannot ignore the fact that how well he's done for this football club. As I've said, I'm always going to be immensely grateful to David Moyes forever for what he's brought to this football club. He's brought, you know, some most magical times of me as a fan. Well, the best time as a West Ham fan. There's no denying the last few years have been the best period of being a West Ham fan. You know, we've had so much enjoyment. Europe has been wonderful. I'm so excited for the Europa League again. Like I'm sure everyone else is. And look at our table. Look at the table. We're in top 4. I know it's only 4 games played, but I don't care. I'm not here to say that's where we're going to finish, but I'm going to enjoy it. And I have been enjoying it. Yes, last season domestically was really a slog, and I've just explained the reasons why I think it was. There's lots of reasons to be excited about this season, and it's really, you know, things are really good at the moment. And I'm certainly not someone that wants to just change it on the basis of an opinion I had a while ago. Absolutely no way. But let's make one thing clear from this video. I just want to make very, very clear that the remainder of this year is vital for David Moyes. Because if he gets it right and we carry on the way we are, then in January, David Moyes will be given a new deal.